Hey, this is Ron Eccles. Listen, I just want to start a little documentation process as I am getting ready to launch a brand new, I want to say, business phase for me and for my wife. We are taking our talents and our gifts and trying to really just hone it in to the Christian marketplace, right? To the Christian business owner. And it's really almost 40 years of studying, learning, training, taking that journey that God has had us on and had me on, especially going from being a doctor to specializations within my profession, teaching postgrad orthopedics and neurology, to then owning and operating restaurants for a decade, and then moving on to real estate investing. And then from real estate investing, discovering what I was put on this planet for, and that was to communicate and teach, encourage, empower, and inspire people to actually rise up to the calling that God has in their lives. So today I just want to take a moment, kind of like just journey this or journal this. I'm sorry, not journey it. Journal this journey that I'm on right now, and you just kind of take you through. Like early this morning, I'm trying to create a new trend right now, right? You see all these people on Facebook, and narcissism is just an internal disorder that keeps us from really pointing to God, being a mirror to God, right? And so we have people who are hurting inside or concerned about their aging process. And we see all these selfies, right? This need to see ourselves and to impress other people with ourselves. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just know that it's just not something I want to get absorbed in. And I love taking pictures of myself and posting it to create a brand, right? But I don't think I'm anything particular to look at other than for my wife. You see behind me, I've got this book out on my library here. And I shot a picture of that this morning because I'm starting a new trend called shelfies, right? Because I believe this. I heard this saying a long time ago, and I believe it to be true, that poor people have large television or large TVs, and rich people have large libraries. Right now, this library behind me is just like kind of a background. You can see it's not the most organized. You can tell it's a real library because it's not perfectly lined up and perfectly organized. And I've got shelves and stuff, and I keep getting more newsletters and different things because I have an incredible appetite to learn. My gift is to take information, lots of information, which I've developed the capacity for over years, and to hack it, to bring it down to its essence so I can teach it to my clients. That's what I get paid for. I get paid to take the best information from the best experts in the world, things that do work, and then take them to my clients so my clients don't have to spend the 3 to 4 hours that I spend every single day learning. And my learning all isn't just one area, right? I'm focused around entrepreneurism and business building, but also I believe that you got to have a rounded life because the first goal for us as Christians is to have a walk with God, right? To live in the light of the glory and the calling he has on our lives so we actually fulfill his will while we're here on earth. And, I'm also really concerned about building good health and having good stewardship of our bodies and our finances. Our relationships are critically important. Strong marriages, strong friendships, strong parenting and inter-parent and child relationships. So this journey that I'm on requires a lot of attention, but it's not work for me anymore. It's something I totally enjoy. Like today, this is my second day that I'm in a full 9-hour-a-day training, learning. And much of the information that I've been learning since yesterday and today, I've already been exposed to, but it just reinforces that information. It helps me put it together in better ways to understand it so I can connect the dots a whole lot better, right? So give you an example. Right now it's going on, but they're kind of on a little break, not a break, but they're showing a video right now. I'm watching Russell Brunson, who I happen to be a big fan of. I've been on with him since 11 o'clock this morning. We'll be going to around 8:30 again tonight, and tomorrow we'll be doing about 7-8 hours more. We did about 9 hours yesterday. So you can see that it's, everyone thinks that becoming a business success is something that happens overnight for people. But I got to tell you, it takes decades. Sometimes it takes, 10 years for somebody to develop mastery in an area. And if you're an entrepreneur, typically you're going to spend a lifetime developing mastery in different areas because every once in a while, either your interest and gifts are pointing you in a different direction or business changes, right? There's a shift that happens, and sometimes it's thrust upon you, and a good entrepreneur learns how to shift and change quickly. And sometimes that change is a little bit painful, right? I don't know anybody who goes to the gym that gets in good shape without some pain. I don't know anybody who actually eats healthy without a little sacrifice. I don't know anyone who's married, has a really robust relationship or marriage that hasn't gone through some difficult times and hasn't had some strains and really tough challenges that they've had to walk through. You see, having difficulty is a part of life. It just happens to all of us. In my Bible study every Friday morning, this morning we were in the book of Proverbs, and we're talking about what's going on in our country right now, or even in a world where there's this pandemic and there's been a resurgence or increased number of cases that have happened since they begin to open up some of the restrictions that were placed in. And what I was encouraging people to say is, look, the bottom line is we are driven and affected very much by the influences that we allow into our lives. Now, really catch that, because it's influences we allow. I'm convinced without any question that there is a agenda for the media to, no matter what's going on, right, to appeal to the negative, to the dangerous, to the disastrous, to the trauma, to the ugly things in life, because that's what gets people to watch their stuff. And they have to spin things according to an agenda that they have to get people to pay attention, and people get sucked into the narrative that they have. And it's not about reporting the truth, because you don't see all the philanthropic things that are going on. You don't see churches that are serving in their communities. You don't see ministries, whether they're Christian or not Christian, charities that are reaching out and helping people and doing some really great things. And they've always been doing this, right? There's people reaching out, doing wonderful things every single day, but we only see a smattering of it in the news. Imagine if we would spend time looking at all the wonderful things. What would our minds be filled with, and how would it drive our attitudes, right? Would it cause us to live in anxiety and fear, or would it allow us to actually have a little bit more of a growth mindset, to coin Dr. Carol Dweck? I believe that the journey for every single person is unique. Not everybody's made to be an entrepreneur. I tell people that I'm virtually unemployable because I've been an entrepreneur for so many years. I love being an entrepreneur, and I love helping entrepreneurs and business owners grow their businesses. And now I find this in season of my life, I'm being called to something even bigger. And I didn't want that. I wanted to actually, I call it, I learned this from my friend Diamond, be small, keep it all. But God has called me to open up something and to really expand my reach into the entrepreneur who happens to be a Christian, who wants to grow a profitable business. And on top of everything else, they want to be on purpose, right? I'm in a process. This is just a cover for the book. This is not the official book yet. The book is not finished yet. It's called The Unstoppable Christian Business, 7 Steps to Your 7-Figure Business with Purpose, Passion, and Profit. Now, I show you that simply because it holds me accountable. I've got to get the book finished, and I got to get the book out, but I want to do it in a way that really brings tremendous value to people around me, because I've got one of those personalities that I don't want to do things halfway. I don't want to just throw something out there just so I can drive money to me, because I believe this. I'm not averse to making money. I believe money is a really good thing, because money is nothing more than just an exchange of the value that one gives in regards to service or goods. You provide service or goods into the marketplace, and you are rewarded based upon the quality of your service or goods. And especially if you're a business owner, the more quality you give, the more money you're going to make. And I believe that as business owners, we should be the very best as Christians at what we do and what we give. We shouldn't be halfway. And that's my call to my tribe, to the people who join me in this journey to become financially free, but also to impact the world and make it a better place, because we have an overflow of abundance that we can give. In fact, we can even dip into larger percentages of our income to help people, because we have enough. We have more than enough. I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling my call. And so I'm beginning this little journey documentation process to kind of help you walk through. I mean, at the same time, I'm on my computer. I'm sending out emails. I do a Saturday morning Lions group. They're part of the community my wife and I have created for the Christian entrepreneur who already has an established business and is really wanting to lock arms and grow together. I have a small group of men that we meet every Saturday morning virtually on Zoom. And it's about encouragement. It's not me pouring into them. It's about them connecting together and about lifting one another up, because we live in a difficult time. And it's always been a difficult time as far as I'm concerned. And we need to be gathering together with people who are looking to go in a direction of obedience to our God and the individual expression or call that He's placed upon each one of us. And how can we make that even better? Our goal is to actually encourage people around us. My heart is to help men become better men, to become lions who will claim the territory God has given them. That's what our community is called. That's why it's called Roar. Roar is the sound a lion makes that tells the enemy, hey, stay out. I heard you. You're in my area. That's one of the reasons they roar, and they roar really loud when they do that. I was in Africa and I had an opportunity to hear a lion firsthand, 30, 40 feet away, hear another lion in his area, and he let out a roar. I've heard roars on television. I've seen them on the internet. But let me tell you something. When you have a lion, about 40 feet away from you, lets out that roar, your entire body vibrates. It's powerful. And I'm calling men in my community, in my reach, to be men that are willing to love their wives, love the women around them, to protect their children, to stand up for the people who have a difficult time standing up for themselves, to impact their communities, to change their workplaces, to affect their churches, and I believe to change the world. It's a bold and it's a big challenge. And I can only do my part, right? I'm not God. But God can use me. He can use anybody. So I hope you'll join me or someone like me, and you'll get on board of a movement. And rather than operating in fear and worrying about all the crazy things that a lot of people get caught up in, instead of going on Netflix binges, instead of surfing the web and wasting time, getting caught up into things that are massive distractions to us really accomplishing what we've been put on this planet for. That's going to be the major call that my wife and I both have. And how can we work and help people achieve that in their lives? Because I believe with all my heart, this is my why. I believe you were born for more. I believe you were born to succeed. You were designed to have a leaner and healthier body. You were crafted for deep, loving relationships. You were made to be financially free and to have a powerful spiritual walk. My heart and my goal is to not rest any time in my life until I have fulfilled that call God has put in me to raise up and help as many entrepreneurs achieve everything in life you've been gifted and blessed to achieve. Hey, I'm going to tell you more about my journey as I'm going along. As I launch the book, as I launch my new coaching program, I want to fill you in so you can kind of work, come with me on a journey. And, I know there's going to be people out there who might be haters for something like this, and that's okay. I'm going to ignore negative input, because I'm not called to satisfy you. I'm called to satisfy God and to do what I've been designed for. And for those of you who are like me, who will join in rejoicing in me, whether you're a Christian or not, and you say, hey, Ron, you're looking to make the world a better place, or I'm really glad you are focused in on what you were called to do. And that inspires me, because I know that I've been called for something better, and I've just been kind of sitting back, and I've been in a comfort zone. It's time for me to get out of my comfort zone and to do something really special. I love great quotes, and I don't care where they come from, because I believe wisdom is not unique to those who are Christians, but wisdom is something God has placed into the fabric of the universe around us, and people can just stop and pay attention, and they have for thousands of years, and they record things that are wise. And I love to operate as much as possible in wisdom. And wisdom is about understanding the natural order of things and putting things together and then applying them into our lives for better purposes. But one of the things that is unique about the Judeo-Christian understanding of wisdom is that it always points to the fear of the Lord, which is not about being afraid of God that he's going to smite you, but it's understanding the power and magnificence of a God that spoke and the universe appeared. Time, matter, and energy all started at one moment from nothing. And that God controls every atom, the movement, the balance, the coordination, and he knows every single hair on your head. And listen, he has no problems keeping up with me, right? But God knows everything about us, and he's not confined by time and space. He's not confined by matter. And because of that, it's about having fear and reverence for how he operates in our lives and knowing how limited we are and how unlimited he is. That's what the fear of the Lord is. And because he loves us so much, it's wanting to just obey and wanting to walk in a way that he set out that says is the right way, is the better way. And it's like I have screwed up so many times in my life, and I've made so many mistakes, and I know I've hurt people and I've done wrong things, but I don't operate in those things that I've done. I've had to make apologies. Some people I can't apologize to because they're not around anymore. Some people won't hear an apology, and that's okay. I have to not allow any bitterness to develop in my life. Knowing that I've hurt some people, I have to let it go. I have to ask for forgiveness. I have to go to God and I have to confess those things. And I also need to make sure, and this is the hardest part for me, right? When somebody offends me or hurts me, my perception of that hurt, sometimes, I hold on to that for a long time, and that's not a good thing. And God is working on me to help me release those things quickly. One of my friends and I were on a phone recently, and this has been going on, for decades and decades with him and a relationship that's, it's kind of like a love-hate thing. And he only sees how he's not getting his part, right? He doesn't see how he's not giving, and he's not meeting the needs of the other person. And he's just angry. And I said to him, you know what? We talked about forgiveness, and he's like, well, I can't do it. And I said, well, it's really sad because you're forgiving someone is not for them as much as it is for your relationship with God. And he believes in a God, right? So I said, if you believe in God, it's about freeing up your relationship with him that forgiveness is for. And then now with that person, it doesn't mean you need to enter back into a relationship with that person. It doesn't mean you need to reconcile, but you need to let it go and follow where God would have you go in regards to that relationship. And what will happen is you release bitterness and you'll let go of it, because it's like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. And that becomes foolishness to us, right? And I don't want that in my life. And I've been there before. I've allowed some bitter roots to develop, and I just pray that God keeps plucking them out. Because as he prepares me for my calling, he's got to really allow me to be transparent before other people. And he also needs to begin to get those paths straight for me so that I'm honoring and walking in him, so that the ministry and the areas that I'm called to work in and operate in are not distracted because of, we'll call it just plain sin in my life, right? And I've got those. I have to just like the Apostle Paul struggled. He says, I find it really easy to do the things that I don't want to do, and I have a hard time doing the things that I really want to do. And I know many Christians that can relate with me on that because of how the Holy Spirit reveals what sin is to us. And some of you might be listening to me out there, and maybe this doesn't make any sense to you at all because you don't define sin in a way that I do, or as the scripture calls us to. And God has called me and other believers into a model of our Messiah, our Jesus, to be holy like he is holy. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes unto the Father except through me. And a lot of Christians hang on to it, and they talk about Jesus being the truth, right? Not a truth, but the truth. And it just came to my attention in a book I'm reading right now by John Mark Comer, and he said that a lot of people miss the part about the way, that we are called as Christians to live and model the way Jesus lived and operated while he was here. He taught us and he set out a precedent for us to follow. And man, I'll tell you, when I start studying it and I'm looking at that and I go, man, Jesus wasn't super complicated about things. But because it wasn't complicated doesn't mean it was easy. We have to live a life that's very dependent on the moving and filling of the Holy Spirit because our flesh wars against the spiritual things in our lives. Well, I think I've gone on long enough. I hope I shared some things of wisdom. I'll leave you with this. And this comes again from The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. He said, too many people want the life, but they don't want the lifestyle. So let me just kind of share with you what that means. Many people want the result, but they don't want to walk the journey that's required to get to that result. So I just want to encourage you that whatever you want, whatever's set in your heart, and you know that it is a part of life that you desire and you're driven towards it, what do you need to become in order to achieve that? Rather than thinking the opposite. In other words, once I have it, then I'll do those things and then I'll be that thing. It's once you become that person, work on your character, allow God to really develop in you who you're supposed to be, and from inside of you will pour rivers of life into the world and the things that you touch. Hey, this is Dr. Ron. I'm so looking forward to sharing this journey with you. And this journey isn't about bragging. It isn't about any of that. It's about seeing what God can do in a person that's, let's say, was a C student in high school at best. My joke all the time is that I was that kid in school that made the top half of the class possible. Somebody had to be in that bottom half so someone could be in the top half. But you know what? God is amazing that he can use average people to achieve extraordinary things. And I want you to really hone in on that because God wants to use you for some amazing things. You just have to sometimes stop believing the lies. Talk to you soon.